At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce one of the great and dynamic people that I have had the pleasure to meet. And for those of you who have not heard him yet, you are in for a really great next hour and a half, because when we were looking for someone to help us with this process, we didn't want someone who was just going to create a plan. We've got lots of plans in the Upstate. The work we've been doing is not to develop a plan. What we want to do is position our region for greatness and for success. And I have come to realize there is no one better than Stephen Stansbery who could do that for us. So at this point, it is my pleasure to introduce Stephen Stansbery.
Wow, I wish my mom could have heard that. That's impressive. So it's officially afternoon. So I'm going to say good afternoon. Enough time. This is the Upstate. Good afternoon. Great. All right, so it's a real honor to be here, and I want to thank you all for your hospitality, the partnership. It's exciting for me to have the opportunity to work in the Upstate, specifically with groups like Upstate for Other and pt.2 and a variety of other groups, because we have a proliferation of interest groups here that are all working for the common good. And I'll tell you, I do a lot of this work around the country, and it's interesting for me to observe how places react to their circumstances. And the Upstate is a place that I have witnessed that while you have witnessed much change over time, you're not reacting to an externality, you're preparing yourself for tomorrow. And that's unusual. Most big cities, big regions, places that are in the path of growth find themselves so far behind the 8 ball without the opportunity to really influence how they deal with the next steps and the next challenges that they face as a region. And so I'm going to share a little bit of what I know, but a lot of this is stuff that you already know. And if you haven't read about all the things that have been well documented, I encourage you to take a look at the website for pt.2, because a lot of what I'm going to share with you right at this moment comes directly from them, and in fact, when it's been created. So it's a big place. I'm not going to dwell on it any more than just the recognition that a 10-county region is big. I'll tell you, the only other place that I've worked that has a region that's defined with a larger geography was in Chattanooga, that had 3 states, 16 counties. So they beat you slightly, but you guys are outperforming them on a number of metrics. You don't feel like it's a competition. But yeah, you've heard this moniker before. Our population's growing. But I think that the other thing to pay attention to is your jobs are growing. You're doing something right. It says that you enjoy great geography, but you've got great people here. And you're aspirational about ensuring that there's a future for the next generation. And I'd like to think that the motivation behind doing a lot of this work isn't just to solve the problems of today, but to better position this region for tomorrow's success. And so a couple other quick acknowledgments are that you're not alone. This isn't just your sandbox that you're working within, right? You fall between 2 large regions, and you've come to be defined as the Charlanta mega region. I can't stand that term, but it is what it is, right? And so you could say that you're the pivot point. You're the place with which you have to pass through in order to enjoy the economy that is connected between these 2 places. But over 22 million residents and $1 trillion in that economy. Suffice it to say that while these things feel far apart at times, they're growing closer and closer together. This speaks to the urgency of ensuring that you take care of your business, because you're going to be receiving externalities, and you already are, from places upstream and downstream. You're in the middle. Now, your demographics are changing as well. Here again, this is something that's been well documented. I'm not going to dwell on it a whole lot, but I think one of the things that we should take stock of is if we're going to be forward-thinking, we need to recognize that the people that we're serving maybe are a little bit different than the characteristics of those that were here 20 years ago. And the challenges that they face are diversified. And so we've got more older residents living alone for the first time, an aging population. A lot of those are folks who don't have good transportation choices, I might add. My grandmother's one of those. More people are living in smaller households. People are waiting to have children longer. And here again, we've got those singles living by themselves in different situations. And our region's getting younger on average. I think most interesting when you compare the Upstate to South Carolina, you're a whole 2 years younger. That might not seem like much, but when you're dealing with statistics, that's a big number, a big differential. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that you've got some great universities here, but you also have opportunities. And one of the things amongst millennials in particular is that they're looking for authenticity. This is an authentic place. It puts you on par with the Asheville's and the Austins of the world all day long. And you're getting more diverse. And I think that just stands to reason that we enjoy that kind of recognition in pretty much all of the country, but it's quite prevalent here. So we hear a lot about the population explosion, and it's true. I think it's also important to understand where it's growing, and it's not to say that it's only happening in cities, but it certainly is happening. There's a renaissance, if you will, that's happened in our local towns, in our cities. Greenville's been written about time and time again on a number of different stages. But when you see that between 2015 and 2016, they grew by 6%, which is the third fastest growing community in size in the country, all of a sudden, you're part of a national dialogue. This isn't just that place we call the Upstate. This is a region that is gaining recognition daily. And that translates then to how we accommodate that increment of growth. And it used to be that we could continue just to add another single family house here and there, but you heard Dean describe the outcomes of that process, and you've heard about it through other processes. And so I'm not going to dwell on that too much, except to make the observation that you have a choice, right? You have a choice. We can embrace kind of the traditions of the past, or we can be responsive to the needs of the future. And I think that that's something profound for us to contemplate. When we think about the economy of this place, you've got a lot of things going for you, as I've already mentioned, but I'd be remiss if I didn't make the observation that some of your economy is largely rooted in logistics and freight, which isn't a bad thing. I can tell you that most places around the country would kill to have the kind of employment opportunities that exist from having large industry, an inland port, all coalescing because skilled workers in high-wage jobs is kind of the aspiration of most regions at this point in time. But that's going to continue to increase. We know that that's going to happen as a result of how our economy is working with the whole effects of Amazon and online shopping and our inability to have any kind of inclination to go to bricks and mortar retail. The other thing I'd point out is that your schools are facing the same kinds of challenges. We don't oftentimes think about this. But schools are the largest employer, or one of the largest employers in your region. They operate one of the largest transportation fleets. They also are carrying some pretty precious cargo. They're carrying the future, right? We need to be thinking about how we're accommodating those who don't have as many choices and the safety associated with that journey to school activity. And some of the travel challenges that we've been able to unearth during this process is something that's not so surprising. This is an auto-dependent place. It has been for decades, as many places are. You're not unique in that. But it's pretty profound, right? Less than 2% of all workers commute by walk, bike, or transit, which in and of itself wouldn't be a problem if we had ample transportation supply on the highway side. But every state official, every federal official, every regional official has told you time and time again, the resources are not there to continue to expand the highway system, nor is there space. Which begs the question, are we prepared for the future? So we keep hearing about all the diversity of interest in groups that are working on transportation. I'll tell you that these are assets, right? You've got 3 MPOs, Metropolitan Planning Organizations. Right? They're responsible for developing long-range transportation plans that are financially constrained. That's a mouthful. 20 years ago, that's almost exclusively all the work that transportation professionals like myself were doing. We were working for MPOs and state DOTs. But because of that shift in what we're experiencing as regions and as a nation, all of a sudden we're seeing groups, like 10 at the top, pull their friends together and say, look, we're not on a path for success. These folks that we've held responsible for years, they need some help. They can't do it on their own. We haven't positioned them for success. And I'll tell you that the places that are making the greatest headway, are those that are willing to not point the finger, but instead put a hand out and say, what can we do? I think this is that kind of region. The other observation that I would make is that I think a lot of folks think about transportation in a very monolithic means, or very binary. We got to do one thing and that's going to fix our problems. But the reality of it is, if you're talking about a 10-county region with that much diversity, you've got a lot of different context areas. And what do I mean by that? You've got urban places, you've got small towns, you've got growing cities, you've got places that are natural treasures, you've got places that really want to stay preserved in their current state. And that means that whatever we do as a region, we've got to recognize that it needs to be tailored to the specifics of the place that it's serving. We can't expect that a one-size-fits-all approach is going to be something that's going to be successful for it. And it's probably going to disenfranchise those that we hope to be helping. It's important for us to recognize that. So throughout the remainder of today's events, you are going to be asked a few questions by me. And some of this is just to get you thinking so that you're primed to receive some of the information others are going to be presenting. But now is one of those opportunities. And so you'll note that on your table, there is a little clicker. It looks like someone up in front. Hold it up for me. We got very good. Irv, always willing to help. Thank you very much. So it looks like a calculator. My quick orientation is to you that you can't break it. It's foolproof. And please don't walk out the door with it. They're very expensive. To that end, I'm going to ask some questions. There's very simple multiple choice questions. I'm going to let you know how many answers you can give. I'm going to read through the answers, and I'm going to do it fairly slowly, the first few that we do, but as we go on, I expect you all to become experts at this, and we're going to move along fairly quickly. And so, this is the one that makes the consultants most nervous. It's the first question, because we have to test whether or not these devices are actually working. So I've got a solo question here, and I'm going to ask the question, when considering mobility planning, the following statement best represents me. A, I have no idea, but it sounds important. B, I tried it once through college. D, I drive a lot, therefore I'm an expert. Or the last one, I'm still waiting for my flying car promised decades ago. So I want you to take a moment, just don't think too hard about this one, because this one doesn't matter. Press the buttons, and let's see what happens. So which group do you most closely affiliate with or represent? This is, of course, our opportunity to better understand, and so you understand who all is in the room today. So A, local government staff, a regional agency is B, or state agency. C, elected official. D, business and industry. E, a transit advocate or provider. Or F, you're part of a nonprofit or foundation. We've got a diversity of folks representing a variety of interests. In large part, it's almost a good cross-section of those who have interest in mobility and transportation, either directly or indirectly throughout the region. This next question, kind of to test where you're at with all of this. Over time, our region's transportation has A, improved, B, stayed about the same, C, worsened, D, is on a trajectory that is not acceptable. You're almost a perfect exponential curve. Maybe we're at a point where things are different than what they have been in the past. So what do you think is impacting our region most when considering transportation challenges? I want you to pick two, all right? I'm going to let you be greedy here. I'm not going to force you into a box. A, our growth, where and how we're growing. B, our success in growing jobs and recruiting new industry. C, our lack of travel choices. D, affordability. E, transportation needs exceed our transportation funding. F, our geography, our location between Charlotte and Atlanta. So remember, just select the first one, take a pause, select the second one, the devices all work for you. All right, let's take a look. So clearly A and E are jumping off the page. So our growth, the where and how we grow, and E, transportation needs exceeding our transportation funding. Let's table that for a moment as we move on to the next part of our agenda.
Good afternoon. Well, I've been tasked with talking about transportation and connectivity in regards to our elected officials, and I see that we have a few in the room. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Terence and I'm the mayor of the city of Anderson. I've been mayor of the city of Anderson I'm starting my 4th term, 13 years. That's like 78 doggy years, so that's a long time. But, you know, I get concerned, as most elected officials do, about a lot of things, and one of them is transportation. And I'm going to talk about public transportation because I have my public transportation leader here at the table, and we were talking the other day about some of the issues we have in public transportation. And one of them people always talk to me about is funding. You know, and we look at reliable funding sources, and so we try to piece together public funding along with state and federal funding to provide transportation. Now, I live in our downtown area, and I like walking to downtown, and I was coming out of my house for lunch the other day, and I'm taking a left, I'm going to the drugstore, and there at the bus stop are 4 individuals, and they just come out of Ingles, and they have their groceries. It's 95 degrees, and they've gone grocery shopping. And they're waiting for the bus, and keeps doing his darndest to get to them, but they've got to wait in heat. And I can't imagine that they've got to have some perishables there. And so how do we make sure those thousands of households without transportation, without cars, how do we get those people to and from? I will talk at the end about, just briefly, just about the transportation. We live we have a very rural state, as the map shows. And so parts of our areas are very rural. And so I get concerned about how do we get our seniors to doctor's appointments. Now, my mother's 82. When she needs to go to the doctor, she doesn't drive anymore. So what does she do? She calls me. So I'm her transportation, but what about those thousands of people that we have in Upstate that don't have a way, that miss appointments because of transportation? And that's a bottom line impact that affects our health care. It affects our rates that we pay for health care, our providers. And so those are some of the things that, from a public transportation point of view, that I'd like to just get us to think about as we go on throughout the day. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janice, and I'm head of HR with Ready Group North America. As an employer in the Upstate, I can tell you one of our biggest challenges is finding and keeping qualified workers. And I would bet if you ask any employer in just about any industry here in the Upstate, they would tell you the same. So as a company, what we do to keep our employees are things like creating a positive culture and building recognition programs, paying competitive wages. But what I've seen is that there are so many untouched workers that we're just not reaching. And we can recruit a new workforce from outside of the area, which of course we're all for the growth. But there are some people right here in our own backyard that are just out of reach. And I think the issue there is the lack of transportation. So now, Ready Group is a service provider in the manufacturing industry. And so most of our workforce is on site at our client or customer sites. In most cases, there is no public transportation to these major manufacturers here in the Upstate. So we're very limited to the people that have their own transportation, their own cars. Now, public transit across the region does the best they can with the limited resources they have, but as we all know in this room, they're very underfunded. There's only so much they can do. So Ready Group decided to join the collaboration of Connecting Our Future so that we could be a part of solving this problem. And I'm so excited to be a part of it because I think when we come together as a region, not just cities or counties working separately, but when we come together as a region, we can really make an impact on the economic competitiveness of not only Upstate, but the state, continue to grow, And when it's announced that new employers are coming to our area, I can, at least, instead of being worried that they're going to steal my workers, be a little excited about it, that we have more of a workforce to choose from. So I encourage all of you to get involved. I think we as employers and as well as potential employees need to speak up and have our needs heard, and become involved, and the planning that has gone into to this has just been outrageous. Everyone involved has really come from different areas and contributed. So I encourage all of you to speak up, to leave this room, and to go out and continue to spread this word, because this is going to just help all of us as a region. Thank you.
All right, so can you hear me all right? So let me do a quick survey of my own. How many folks here drive an electric vehicle? I shouldn't be discouraged. Actually, I'm a bit encouraged, because I call this a target-rich environment. And if you're all driving electric vehicles, I don't think we'd be having this meeting here today. So Dean has given me 4 minutes to talk to you about e-mobility and the impact that it has on 10 at the top. So to do that, I want to take you on an e-mobility economic development ride, 4-minute ride, with 2 very different scenarios. So the first scenario is this. It's the present day. It's you're in your gas or diesel car, as you've now let me know. And you're on I-85, and you're somewhere between Pelham Road and the I-385 interchange, and it's between 3 in the afternoon or 6 in the evening. So what do you see? Well, no doubt you see brake lights in front of you. So you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic. The 18-wheelers have already clogged up the left-hand lane. There's 1 or more accidents, and you're moving at a snail's pace. So we have the picture? Great. All right, so now think about the lost productivity that you're now incurring. So the impact to intracity and interstate commerce, the amount of pollution and tailpipe emissions that we're suffering through in this region, the thousands of gallons of wasted fuel while you sit there and idle, the insurance claims that are going to come from these accidents, the lost time to employees, the lost time to employers, the thousands of hours of unproductive labor that is taking place on just that stretch of road. The potential impact that this could have on the region's 8-hour ozone attainment status. It could push it into non-attainment. And as we all know, if we get pushed into non-attainment status, we can no longer recruit major industrial projects to this region. Lastly, think of the damage to the goodwill and the reputation of this region. So that's scenario 1. All right, scenario 2. This scenario is not in the distant future. Matter of fact, it is possibly right around the corner. Same day, same place, same bat channel. The only difference is this. You're in an electric vehicle and not an internal combustion engine vehicle. Okay, so you're in your electric vehicle. So now you've got the 18-wheelers. They're in the right-hand lane. They're platooning 2 feet off of each other's bumper, and they're going at the speed limit. There are virtually no accidents, no delays, no traffic congestion. The EVs are flowing in this manner. EVs, electric vehicles, are flowing in this manner because most are automated, connected, electric, and shared. So that's on the highway. So now you turn off into any of the cities, on the main streets or any other streets. There's virtually no traffic because the electric vehicles are programming the traffic signals in real time. There's virtually no noise because all the vehicles in the center, think about it, your car, transit buses, school buses, the UPS, the FedEx, the US Postal Service vehicles, they're all electric. The air is clean, it's crisp, and it's quiet. There's minimal loss of productivity because there's no traffic and there are no accidents. There's no acute asthma due to transportation pollution. Intent at the top remains solid attainment status, and its prowess in industrial recruitment, job creation, and economic development. So as I mentioned, these vehicles and this technology already exist. What we need to do, and that's everyone in this room, is we need to start pushing on local, state, federal policies, procedures, regulations, legislation, building codes, awareness campaigns, intestinal fortitude, and vision. Let this scenario be the reality for Tennessee.